Sports fans, we're back. PB and Z, Sports Chaos. When we're going to do a little draft recap. As you know, we did our mock first round picks the other night, PB and I only had 2 picks correct. PB had 4, although we have a little bit of a question mark on that because one of them was not picked correctly at the right order, but he still got the guy. Hey, anyways, big surprise of the night. Cincinnati, first pick in each round. PB, why is that surprising? Do you know?
Maybe because no other team's done it before?
No, it's happened 2 other times. This is going to be impressive. DYK, the only other times in history where the same team picked first in every single round was by, ironically, Cincinnati in 1994 and 2003. Oh, my God. All right. And fans, we're going to talk about it. The biggest bonehead move of the night. Well, Jordan Love was the biggest bonehead move of the night. But PB traded up in our mock draft to get Justin Herbert. Dude, what were you thinking? He didn't go to the Dolphins.
Well, I thought he was the top quarterback on the board. I mean, I think Tua, has potential to do really well in Miami, but I just thought they would go after Justin Herbert.
All right. Hey, by the way, I don't know if
NFL.
it was any worse than John Runyon Jr. You hear about this?
No, what's that?
John Runyon Jr., offensive tackle. Remember his father played for Michigan? Well, he played in Michigan as well. Apparently, the Packers were trying to call him on his cell phone to draft him. He was posting something, and he hit the ignore button. Oh, man. Hey, I got something for you, a little DYK. Today, in history, 1912, a guy named Hugh Bradley. Any idea who he was, PB?
The captain of the Titanic?
Close. Second. He's the first guy to hit a home run at Fenway Park ever. Go figure.
That's right. That's the same year that the
Titanic.
Sox started playing at Fenway. It was the same year the Titanic sank.
Yeah.
Happened within a couple days.
By the way, I got to ask, where's our friend Casey Josh? All I remember is on our Instagram feed the other night as we're doing our show, I said they would pick a running back, and he said, no way, you're an idiot. Hello, they picked a running back, and they even got it wrong. They picked Clyde Allaire, or whatever the heck his name is, from LSU, when they could have had Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, Jonathan Taylor. I don't know. All right, PB, what do you think about the Joe Staley retirement? Did San Francisco come out of that smelling like roses, though? What'd they do?
I don't know. It is interesting news, though, right?
And then they go out and get Trent Williams, right? From the Redskins, who we thought would never get traded. So there you go. All right. By the way, you mentioned it earlier. We got to talk about this thing. Jordan Love. Love?
Yeah. Well, first of all, to the Packers, right? And secondly, I think kind of high. We didn't have him going in the first round. No, we didn't. And by the way, 15 years to the day and almost 2 picks from the exact same spot that they took Aaron Rodgers to replace Brett Favre, and now here goes Jordan Love potentially to replace Aaron Rodgers. That's the bonehead move of the night, I think. All right. And they could have had a bunch of wide receivers, which they need. Do you agree? They do. They need some weapons for Rodgers. They've been hurting at that position the last couple of years, right?
The guys, wide receivers taken, and they couldn't take one right there.
Geronimo Allison has never panned out. Valdez-Scantling has never panned out.
And you were high on him last year for fantasy, right?
Yeah, I was. I thought he was going to be a sleeper of the year, but they just haven't panned out. They could use some help there.
PB, all right, I have to ask you. So the other bonehead move, I thought, we both thought the Raiders would take a wide receiver. There it was. They had an opportunity to take the best wide receiver on the board, either Jerry Jeudy or
CeeDee Lamb.
And what did they do?
And they went out and got Ruggs the third instead.
So is that the classic Al Davis mentality? Speed apparently kills, I guess. Is that what they're thinking?
And then they go on to take 3 more wide receivers or whatever, their top 4 picks. I mean, come on. Yeah.
What? I mean, all right. Maybe I can live with Ruggs, although there's 2 other guys I would have taken. But then you go take 3 more or 2 more, whatever it was. I don't get it, dude. I don't get it.
You can make an argument Justin Jefferson's better than Ruggs, but
I think, didn't we have him on the board, kind of a high?
Yeah, right? We did. Yeah.
All right. Hey, By the way, 9 wide receivers from the SEC. That's a record. All right, let's talk about this. Joe Burrow, number 1, going to Cincinnati. I got to ask you right away, DYK, number 1 draft picks to start the Super Bowl. Who has started the most Super Bowls as a number 1 drafted quarterback in the NFL history?
Oof. Well, I know Manning was drafted number 1 overall in 1998, right? And he went to 4. He won 1. He won 2 and lost 2, right?
That's right. So he has 4.
So I would say that's got to be pretty close to right. Is it?
You're close. Terry Bradshaw went to 4. Elsie won 4, and the winner, he did not win all of the Super Bowls. He's 2 and 3. 5 Super Bowl appearances by none other than Mr. John Elway.
Oh, okay. All right. It makes sense. Good one.
Right. Hey, what do you think of, speaking of quarterbacks, Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts, 2nd round, the only quarterback picked in day 2?
Yeah. So in the whole 2nd and 3rd round, I mean, I think he went where he should have. I mean, there was some talk he might go late first even by some analysts. So I think he went in the right spot. I just don't know if he was the right fit. I mean, are they bailing on Wentz, or are they looking for another injury to come his way? Or
that has to be what it is. They got to figure the guy's been hurt 4 times in his 5 years or 4 years in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Here's one for you. Has any college ever had a quarterback drafted 3 straight years?
Well, number 1 or just drafted?
Just draft. I mean, obviously, no one ever had drafted, because we know Kyler Murray was number 1, and so was Baker Mayfield was number 1. But just to have a quarterback on your team drafted in 3 straight years, to me, is kind of. I'm
going to go back in recent history. Maybe USC, possibly.
Okay, it's kind of interesting, right? To have a quarterback every single year come out of your system.
No, it is. All right, let's get right into it, dude. Who do you think helped themselves the most?
So I have my top 5. I'm going to start with number 5.
Go ahead.
And number 5 is going to be the Dallas Cowboys.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys did a nice job at getting CeeDee Lamb as the 17th pick overall in the 1st round. The fact that he was still on the board was good. Then they still went ahead in the 2nd round and picked up Trevon Diggs, cornerback, to help the defense, right?
That was a really good pick. I agree.
That was a good pick out of Bama. And then even in the 3rd round, at 18th in the 3rd round, they took Neville Gallimore, defensive tackle out of Oklahoma. We said, hey, we were talking about some of the defensive tackles that maybe 1st round is on the cusp, and we looked at them and we said, no, they weren't 1st rounders, but they were good quality 2nd rounders, right?
Right.
And likes of like Davidson, people in that category. And here he is going in the 3rd round, number 18. So I thought they did pretty good with those top 3 picks, and then they still picked up the center from Wisconsin later on in the draft. So all in all, I think they did a nice job. So that putting them at number 5.
Gotcha. For me, the bailout by San Francisco today, they replaced Joe Staley in a minute with a Pro Bowl tackle, and they gave up 2 wide receivers in the past 3 weeks in trades, right?
Mm-hmm.
The two of the top 3 receivers, and they get Brandon Ayuk back from Arizona State, where N'Keal Harry came from. I thought they did all right there, so I give them number 5.
Okay, good one. All right, I don't have them on my top 5. My number 4 team would be the Jacksonville Jaguars. They got C.J. Henderson at 9th pick overall in the 1st round, which I had predicted that they would do. I like Kalavion Chasen out of LSU. Also had linebacker edge guy.
Yeah.
He went 20th overall. I actually thought he was going to go to the Cowboys a little bit higher than that.
He did, that's right.
So Jacksonville, I think, would be good to get him there. And then the kid Chenault Jr., the wide receiver out of Colorado, picking him up at the 10th pick in the 2nd round.
Ooh, that's a good one. You're right about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and some mock analysts had him going in the 1st round. So I thought that was good to get him there. And they still went on early in the 3rd round to get defensive tackle out of Ohio State, Hamilton. So I think they did some good moves there to make their team better. So that's my number 4.
I got one for you. The Broncos. I wasn't thinking about this when we chatted the other day, but then I was looking back. Not only did they get Jerry Jeudy at 15, when most people had him going to either the Jets at, 11? Right?
Right.
So he could have went anywhere from 11 to 14, and they stole him at 15. Then they followed up. They also took another wide receiver, the kid from Penn State, KJ Hamler, who's a top 10 rated receiver. And they got the second best center in the third round from LSU. Another LSU kid, 14 kids from LSU went. Lloyd Cushenberry, I believe is how you say his name. And then a tight end I thought the Pats had interest in the fourth round out of Missouri. Albert, and I can't even say his last name. I think it's Okawamanan. So, and we talked about him in one of our pre-draft shows back in January. So, wow, I thought the Broncos, and the other day when I look back at it, they got some steals.
Yeah. And the Pats had a chance to, they took 2 or 3 tight ends before that guy. So,
yes.
That was crazy. All right. So, there you go. So, I have Dallas at 5, Jacksonville 4. My number 3 team is going to be the Carolina Panthers. I think they made it really well. Interestingly enough, every single pick they took in the draft was a defensive player. So they obviously are running their offense through Teddy Bridgewater and Christian McCaffrey. There's no question about that. Derek Brown, defensive tackle out of Auburn at number 7. I had predicted that. That was one of my hits.
Yep.
I thought getting Yetur Gross-Matos, the edge rusher out of Penn State.
From Penn State, yeah.
I had him going to the first round of the Seahawks, and he went in the second round at number 6. So I thought that was a good pick and a steal for them. Jeremy Chin, safety out of Southern Illinois, at 30, actually last pick in the second round. That was a nice pick. And then they still ended up in the fourth. They didn't have a third-round pick, Carolina. They went all the way to the fourth round, 7th pick overall in the fourth round. They got Troy Pride Jr., cornerback out of Notre Dame. So I thought that was a really good draft for them to help them on defense.
Yeah. Hey, I'm with you. Just everything you said about the Cowboys, I have them in my top 5 as well. So definitely. Who do you got at number 3?
At number 2?
2, I'm sorry.
At number 2, I have the Minnesota Vikings. Justin Jefferson, wide receiver out of LSU, is a 22nd pick overall in the first round. I love the way he goes up and gets a ball. Granted, Joe Burrow is a great quarterback, but just watching him catch passes last year was phenomenal.
He was talented, yeah. All right.
And then they traded up, and they had a pick in the first round. They took San Francisco's pick, right, in the first round, and they got the cornerback Jeff Gladney out of TCU. So some good help there. And then the biggest steal, I think one of the biggest steals of the draft is Ezra Cleveland, the offensive lineman out of Boise State. I had him as a first rounder.
Oh, you had him as a first rounder. Yeah.
They got him 26th pick in the second round. So I thought that was a good pick. 6 of their top 8 picks were defensive players in Minnesota. So they're also trying to beef up that defense. So that was my number 2.
All right. I got one for you, buddy. The Colts had no first rounders at all. They came away with who I consider the best running back on the board, Jonathan Taylor, who I predict right now will be the offensive rookie of the year this year. Guaranteed, hands down. And they got Michael Pittman, wide receiver from USC, who a lot of people had in their top 7 or 8. That's a steal there. But if they're not done, no. They go out and they get from your favorite school now, Florida Atlantic. They go out and they get Harrison Bryant, tight end, in the 4th round, along with maybe the best arm in the entire draft, Jacob Eason. The Colts blew it away.
Yeah, I actually had them as my honorable mention. I had them at number 6, so they're not in my top 5. But I did have them at 6 in my honorable mention. So I agreed. I thought they had a really nice draft. And then going to be a homer down here in South Florida. You can see I got my Dolphins draft party stuff hanging up behind me. Number 1 overall. I mean, it's hard to go wrong when you have 3 first-round picks. Miami Dolphins. Even though I had them going after Herbert, they still picked up Tua at quarterback, which is going to be a potential, franchise quarterback of the future. Love Austin Jackson, the offensive tackle out of USC. You had predicted that.
I did.
Overall. And then they turn around in 30th and they pick up Noah. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, the cornerback out of Auburn.
All right. I got to stop you there. So the guy was not even the 6th ranked cornerback going into the thing. They picked him. Yeah, I think they blew it on that one.
I see. I think that he was actually going in the first round in a few of the analyst mock drafts, so he wasn't too far off. And there was some good cornerbacks coming out of the draft. So
yeah, you already mentioned a couple of them that slid to the second round, who I believe are better than him.
Yeah, I know they could have. I would have loved to see them pick up like Xavier McKinney at safety would have been a great pick at that spot. I do agree. I mean, they got a quality player. I do agree they could have gotten something better at that. But then here's what they did. They went on to get 3 other defensive linemen, 2 other offensive linemen on defense, including Raquan Davis out of Bama in the second round. And they even had enough picks in there to pick up a long snapper. So they got themselves a long snapper in like the 5th or 6th round. So.
I hate to say it, but Flores sounded like Bill Belichick in this draft. He hit a couple of picks in the first 2. The third, that kid at cornerback, not so much. A long snapper, that's typical Belichick move. Look at Belichick. We'll talk about the pass in a few minutes. But it sounds like a Belichick draft, if you ask me.
Yeah. All right. Well,
all right, I got one for you. Here's my number one.
Don't say the Ravens. Please don't say the Ravens.
By the way, the Ravens did pretty good.
They did.
They only had 4 picks in the entire draft. 3 of them will play day 1. The New Orleans Saints, they get the best center on the board in Cesar Ruiz, who I desperately want to see go to the Cowboys. Then they go on and get Zach Braun, who I had going at 28 to the Ravens, as you just mentioned. They got him in the 3rd rounder. And then they get Adam Troutman, the tight end from Dayton, which we talked about in some previous shows that the Pats should have looked at, who plays a lot like Aaron Hernandez. I hate to mention that guy's name, but they have the same skill level. And then, God forbid, they go on and get Dak Prescott's replacement at Mississippi State as a quarterback to back up Taysom Hill and, of course, Drew Brees when he retires next year. So I think the Saints, with only 4 picks, hit it out of the park. They're going to have 100% on the roster.
Okay. All right. Those are good. What's interesting is the only team we have the same with the Cowboys. Everyone had 4 other teams, and I had 4 other teams. So we just gave you 9 teams that had really good drafts.
I got one I'll mention in a minute that I like when we talk about the AFC East and the Patriots, because let's talk about this. They did not draft a quarterback. That means the Jarrett Stidham era has started today. I got my number 4 jersey on. I'm in the game with Jarrett. All right. But PB, who trades the 23 pick into the 2nd round and they go get a Division II safety? What?
Yeah. I mean, right. And in that spot was who I had at number 23. I had Kenneth Murray going to the Patriots. I thought would have been a great pick. And then the Chargers traded up to get him. And, yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about the kid. Obviously, he's a Division II player, so I don't see him a lot. But I'll tell you, you still had the likes of, there were other safeties on the board, right?
Other safeties. And even when they drafted tight end later on, there were still better tight ends on the board.
Right. But Grant Delpit was on the board out of LSU. He didn't go till 12th in the 2nd round. They could have had him. And they could have had Antoine Winfield Jr. out of Minnesota. Both guys were still on the board as safeties that, at least from what I can see from tape, I mean, I'm not going to claim to be better, a scout than what the Patriots have out there, but those 2 guys look like they –
I don't know. You might have been just as good as them. All right. So who else in the AFC East right now? Obviously, you like the Dolphins. You just said it. You have them as one of your number 1 pick.
Yep.
What do you think the Jets and Bills, though? How do you feel they did in their draft?
Well, the Bills didn't have a lot of picks in the draft, and I don't think their first pick was until the 2nd round. They didn't have a first rounder.
Correct. Like the Colts, they didn't have a first rounder, and the Steelers as well.
And they did get A.J. Epinesa, the edge rusher out of Iowa, 22nd in the 2nd round. So that was a good pick for Buffalo. But if you look at the whole body of work outside of the Dolphins, I'd say the Jets probably had the next best draft.
Yeah, they got Becton. They got Denzel Mims. If I'm not mistaken, did you have him on your first-round board?
I had him going in the 1st round, and he went.
Right?
I actually have him as a steal, too. It's 27th pick in the 2nd round.
They got LaMichael Pirine, running back, in the 4th. He's a stud back out of Florida. And then a quarterback, James Morgan. Hey, Bill Belichick, why couldn't you get a quarterback? They got James Morgan from Florida International. Oh, man. All right, dude, who's your steals? Give me your steals.
Well, I've been mentioning a couple of them throughout, but I thought Jalen Johnson, cornerback out of Utah, didn't go till 18th in the 2nd round to the Chicago Bears, so I thought that was a pretty good pick. Chicago Bears, all considered, I mean, considering they hadn't have a first-round pick either, they did all right. They got the tight end out of Notre Dame, too, in the 2nd round. He's probably the best on the board, right? So they did all right in that 2nd round. I mean, their draft overall wasn't that good. Jonathan Taylor, you could say, was a steal where he went.
I agree.
Zach Bond not going to the third round.
I got him as well. Yep.
Xavier Mckinney, I thought he was a real I had him going to the Eagles around 20th or 21st, whenever they picked in the first round.
A lot of mock drafts had him going the Pats, right, at 23 as well.
At 23 as well, yeah. He didn't go till the fourth pick in the second round.
They took a Division II safety.
Yeah, right. Another one, too, that didn't go till almost the end of the second round, 29th in the second round, was Christian Fulton, cornerback out of LSU.
I had him in the first.
Yeah, he went to the Titans. So I think those are some more steals that some teams made in the draft.
I'm with you. The only other one that was Adam Trautman, which I mentioned, going in the fourth round, the tight end, which I would have loved to see playing for us. All right.
Yeah.
Who's your loser in this draft?
Biggest losers are do you want me to go 5-1 again on this?
Go ahead, because I only got one.
All right. Well, I'll give you my biggest losers. Number 5, Seattle Seahawks. Jordan Brooks is their first pick from Texas Tech.
Ooh, good one. Yeah, no, you're right about that.
37. He's only 6 feet. Yeah, I know he's like a fire hydrant type body, but still, I don't know if they could have had a lot more talent there. The Las Vegas Raiders, they're a big loser. They just messed up their whole draft. Take as many receivers as they did. They on CeeDee Lamb. They bailed on Jerry Jeudy. I didn't like that. The Patriots and the Chiefs, they both didn't do what they had to do.
Oh, Casey Joss is going to hate you.
Yeah, but I hate the Patriots too. I mean, Patriots had a bad draft. Chiefs had a bad draft. But I think my number one biggest loser, because all the 4 of those are kind of right there, was the Houston Texans.
All right. Yeah, you know what? Now you say that. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have a pick till the second round either. But at number 8 in the second round, they took Blacklock, defensive tackle out of LSU. Man, I feel like there's been 1,000 LSU players taken here.
14, tied the record.
Crazy. But, that's just not – we talked about him as being, a potential second round of defensive tackle, but that's their best play they got out of the draft. And after that, they didn't really have any picks. To their credit, they didn't have a lot of picks, but they're –
All right. I got a tie. It's just 2. I'm only going to pick 2.
All right.
Your new team, the Dolphins, 12 picks going in. I think they blew it. They got maybe 2 legitimate players, and that's it. And then the Pats, they drafted like the defending champion, like they need to only plug in a couple things when they're missing so much talent on their roster. To start it off trading down and taking a Division II safety with the first pick, when safety's probably the strongest position on the roster right now. I don't. All right. Any parting shots for our fans, PB?
No, we just got to hope this NFL season stays on track and the schedule comes out in a week or 2, right? So
yep.
Well, I guess we can walk through the NFL schedule and maybe look at some of the key games and key matchups going into the season. That's probably our best thing we got going for us right now in this world of sports.
All right. Me and Tommy, we're signing off. PB&Z Sportscast. We'll be talking to you next week, fans. Have a good one.